Hey, it's DJ Ricky B here, and I want to discuss the best and worst times to start a 8 or 10 hour work shift. I want to thank you for watching the video and welcome to my channel. I'm just starting to go off and make videos about what comes to mind and just have discussions with everybody and see if it interests you guys. So yeah, welcome to the channel. I've worked for 26 years since 1998 was my first job out of high school. Summer of '98. Ever since then, I've had a lot of jobs in life. I'm not going to list all my jobs. Maybe I'll do another video about that. But a lot of different jobs. Since 1998, and the 27 years I've been working, I've worked the entire 24-hour clock. I worked every hour of the day at different times of my life. I've started shifts all sorts of different times. I've ended shifts all sorts of different times. So I wanted to discuss what are the best times of the day to start a work shift. I'm talking about the typical full-time shift, 8-hour or 10-hour. 8-hour, 10-hour shift, full-time. What is the best time of the day, and what's the worst time of the day to start your shift? Generally speaking, for most people, this is just what my experience is. I'm not a early morning person. I come from a family of DJs. I was always a night owl. I've been DJing also since 1998, pretty much. So I basically really just I guess I'm trying to look at this from a neutral position, but I am more of a night owl, a late night person. I'm not an early morning person. So I know they're different. If you're an early morning riser, you may have different perspectives of what a great shift start time is. But I'm just going to give you my perspective and the reason why what the best times to work are and what the worst times to work are. So let's start out with the best times. So the best time to start a shift, in my opinion, 8 or 10 hour, you're going to be looking at, for a day shift, 9 a.m. That's a great time. It coincides with your circadian rhythm. If you can get to bed at a normal time, you're going to feel good working a 9 a.m. shift. Now, there are some. I'm going to go over the pros and cons of each time too. So 9 a.m. is a good shift to start work. If you're in an 8-hour, you're getting off at 5:30 in most of America. You need that half-hour break for lunch at most companies. Sometimes it's an hour, so you're getting off at 6. But generally speaking, 9 a.m. is about as late as you want to be if you want to get home in time to have dinner with the family. 9 a.m. to 5:30 shift. 10-hour is a little different because you're working till 7:30. I enjoyed that. I worked a 4-day, 10-hour schedule starting at 9 o'clock in the morning. It was a Sunday through Wednesday shift. At my current job, about 2 years ago, in my department, they needed someone to stay over an extra hour late to ensure that things get done and completed for the day. So I was a 9 a.m. to 7:30 guy while everyone else was 8 to 6:30. It worked. It was just enough time to get everything done, go ahead and clock out. And I enjoyed it, 9 to 7:30. The downside to it was I was coming home late. I was coming home after everyone enjoyed dinner at my house, so I was eating leftovers. Sometimes dinner would be left out for me. Sometimes I'd have to grab it out of the fridge and just go ahead and cook it. But generally speaking, the pros were I was into my circadian rhythm. I enjoyed working it, and I drove home with pretty much no traffic. When you're leaving work at 7:30, it's after rush hour, well after rush hour. Traffic is light, and it's not bad. So 9 a.m. is a really good shift to start for an 8 or 10-hour shift. 8 a.m. By the way, I'm going to go by the hour. I'm not doing half hours. I'm just going to go run the clock by the hour. 8 a.m. is another great shift. That's up there with number 1 or 2. If you're an early morning riser, it works. Even though to you it might be a little late, but you can work an 8 a.m. shift. You have your time to get into work. You're going to be dealing with traffic, but 8 a.m. is not bad. You're getting off at 4:30 for an 8-hour. You're getting off at 6:30 for a 10-hour. My work has an 8 to 6:30 shift. 6:30 isn't bad. You are coming home late. You're probably going to miss dinner with the family unless your family enjoys dinner late, is used to eating late. My family likes to eat at 6 o'clock, so I'm getting home. If they're still at the dinner table, I am joining them and they're finishing up their dinner, or they're already done, and I'm just getting home right after they've eaten dinner. So that's just how it worked. But it was okay. It worked. If you work an 8 to 6:30 or an 8 to 4:30, you have some time after work to go to the grocery store. You can go grab dinner and then bring it home. So an 8 a.m. shift is great for that. If you're now here's where it gets good. If you're an early morning riser, 7 a.m. works. 7 a.m. is good. You're still getting off a little earlier. You're about leaving as rush hour is beginning in the afternoon. You're working a 7 to 3:30. Some of you gotta work a 7 to 4. It is what it is. So for early morning risers, 7 a.m. is good. For a night owl, especially if you're used to staying up really late, 7 a.m. isn't good. It's better than 6 a.m. I worked 6 a.m. shift, multiple jobs. I worked a 6 a.m. start time. My most recent was a 12 hour 6 to 6:30. And the only benefit to that was that you had 4 days off and you'd work 36 hours a week. But I hated going in at 6 a.m. Early morning risers is probably your favorite schedule. You want to be there at 6 a.m. You're going to bed at 9 at night, 9:30. You're getting just enough sleep. You're getting up. You're forcing yourself to get up and get ready and go to work. You're beating rush hour early on because you're getting out before most everybody gets out on the roadways. So 6 a.m. for early morning risers is probably a pretty good shift to work. For me, I'd rate it around number 5, 4 or 5 for good shifts. On the flip side, let's go to the evening shifts. You have 6 p.m. I think 6 p.m. is a really good time to start work. You have the whole afternoon to enjoy. You go out and eat lunch. That's basically what I work now. Today I got to be at work at 5 because my manager asked me to come in early. But I work 6:30 p.m. to 5 a.m. right now, and it's pretty good for a night owl. That's a very good shift because you can work the whole night. You're getting home. If you live close to home, you're getting home before the sun comes up, and you can get to bed right as the sun's going up or as it's just popped up. So you're not staying up well after the sun comes up. Now some people do. They need that time to decompress and they just stay up and do things. They don't go to bed till like 8:39, and then they're waking up late in the afternoon. They sleep all day. I prefer to just go right to bed so I can get up around 1:30 and get ready for the day, and I have my afternoon to enjoy. I prefer it that way. So, I could technically, if I wanted to get up and go see a matinee movie, I could. So 6:30 p.m. works for that. You have time to do things during the day. So in my opinion, 6:30 p.m. start time is great. If you're a night owl, 6:30 p.m. to 5, it's a very good shift. The only downside, you're missing dinner with the family unless you can eat early. Sometimes my family, I can go out and grab dinner around 5. We eat really quick and then I go into work. Sometimes that happens. Most of the time we're eating dinner. They're starting dinner to prepare dinner, and I have to go into work because I leave at 6. So 6:30, great shift. 7 p.m. is another great shift. Right around there, you have time to go into work. You're missing the tail end of afternoon rush hour, so you can go into work pretty much easily. Unless you live far from work and you have to use the interstate, then you're probably hitting some traffic. But if you don't have to use an interstate road to get to work, if you start work at 7 o'clock, it's pretty cool. On an 8-hour, you're getting off at like 3:30 in the morning. On a 10-hour, you're getting off at like 5:30. So 7 p.m. to 5:30 isn't bad. It really isn't. The more later in the night you go, 8 p.m. Now you can enjoy dinner with the family. You have all day to do things if you want to make it that way. So I still think 8 p.m. is a pretty good shift. Now the downside to this is you're waking up, you're getting home, you're leaving after the sun comes up, unless you're on an 8-hour. If you're working an 8 to 4:30, it works pretty good. But if you're on a 10-hour 4-day, you're working 8 to 6:30, you're leaving the sun's already up. So you're choosing to probably stay up until at least 9 anyway on an 8 p.m. to 6:30 shift. You're going to be sleeping most of the day. You probably won't be waking up before 3:34 if you're working that type of a shift. So there are some drawbacks to it. So the way I look at it, the later in the night you go, the worse it gets. So do you want to start at 9 or 10 o'clock? And if it's an 8 hour, you're probably okay. But if it's a 10 hour, do you really want to go in at 10 o'clock at night and work till 8:30 in the morning? No, most people don't. But there are some security guards have that shift. Some people that work in the overnight shift at the hospital has that shift. You have night auditors at hotels that have a similar shift. Usually they're on an 8 hour. They work like a 10 to 6 or 10 to 6:30. So it starts to get really bad as you get towards midnight. So you get to midnight, your whole circadian rhythm is going to be thrown off. You're working midnight to 10:30 in the morning or 8:30 in the morning, and it's just not good. We have a midnight to 10:30 shift at my work for maintenance, and I don't know how the guy that works that shift does it. I just don't. I wouldn't want to work midnight to 10:30. I'll say that much. But midnight's pretty bad. It gets even worse as you get into the early morning hours. I think those are the worst shifts you can work, along with the middle of the day. So the worst shifts at night would be like a 1 a.m., a 2 a.m. I mean, you can't. Your whole sleep schedule's thrown off. You can't really make it so you can get to bed early enough to wake up and have enough sleep. There's too much going on during the day. You got to wake up at midnight to go into work at 2. Get there at 12:30 in the morning. You have to wake up. I hear that hospitals have a 12-hour, 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. to 2:30 in the afternoon shift. That's horrible. I feel sorry for people. I don't know. I've never met anyone that would say that that's a good shift to work. I think 2 a.m. is bad. My work has a 3 a.m. shift. We have people coming at 3 a.m. and work until 1:30 in the afternoon, usually later. They stay later most of the time. And I ask them, like, how do you do it? Like, most of them say they can't get to bed before 10 o'clock, maybe 9:30 at night. So they're waking up at 2 and just hustling to get into work. Half the time they're late because they don't have enough time to get ready in the morning because they're drained. So I don't see. Now, maybe some early morning people might like that shift. If you have an early morning 3 o'clock shift, let me know. And let me know how you like it, because I will not, at this stage of my life, I just refuse to work that type of shift. It's got to be overnight, or it's got to be a shift that starts in the morning. So the worst shifts would be 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and during the day, noon is terrible. My manager asked me to work noon for a few weeks earlier this year, and foolishly I agreed to it, and it was horrible. It takes your whole day away. You have no time in the morning to do anything. Throws off your whole meal schedule. You can't work. It's too early to go grab lunch. It just is. You're just waiting to work. You're waiting to go to work. The only benefit about a noon schedule is if you're a night owl, you can sleep in until about 9:30, 10 a.m. That's it. Your whole day is work. So noon is horrible. I would argue for a day shift, it's the worst shift. The two worst shifts, I would say, are probably noon and 2 a.m. are probably the worst shifts you could start working at. Midnight's pretty close. It's about the same. Midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., it's all about the same. Midnight, you're sleeping during the day, because I don't know how you're not going to go to bed at nighttime for a midnight shift. I don't see how it works. So midnight, you're probably sleeping from about noon. If you're working a 10-hour, you're getting off. You're probably going to bed around noon, 12:30 in the afternoon. You're sleeping all day. You're missing dinner with the family. You're probably waking up in the early evening, probably about 7:38, and then you're just having a late dinner before you, or if you have breakfast at nighttime, you do that before you go into work. So midnight just throws you all off. 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Those shifts just throw you completely off of your circadian rhythm. I wouldn't wish those on anybody. But noon is bad in the same sense, because you just have no time. Your whole day's work. You get off on a 10-hour. You're getting off at 10:30. That's that was happening to me, and I'd stay a little later half the time to get stuff done, because you're only working barely half the night shift. So a noon shift is terrible for full-time work. Even on an 8 hour, you're getting off at 8:30. Think about it. You're getting off at 8:30. You only have an hour and a half before the stores close at most places. Most places, stores close at 9 or 10. At least around here. Got to go to the grocery store after work. You're at a limited time. You're eating late. You're eating dinner late. You're eating dinner in the middle of the afternoon, or lunch in the middle of that. Your break's going to be like, what? If you have a lunch break around 4, so your lunch is that late. Unless you eat your lunch in your first break, if you have one around 2, 2:30, or 3, or whatever. So noon, in my opinion, is the worst shift to work. Along with equally like a 2 a.m. shift. So worst shifts would be noon. Second worst shift is 1 p.m. 1 p.m. is bad. The only difference between 1 and noon is you can grab fast food really fast before heading to work. You can scarf down a fast food meal. You don't have time to go to a restaurant. You really don't have time to cook yourself something at home, realistically. You could eat a quick prepared lunch at home, but maybe, depending on what your commuting to work is. So noon and 1, and I have worked at 1 too. 1 p.m. I worked at 1 p.m. Some shifts as a bartender at a tiki bar, working all day long, 1 p.m. until about 2 at night. It was horrible. Made great money, but the shift itself was exhausting. And your whole life is just work. I don't agree with shifts that start at noon or 1. And comment below. Let me know. What do you agree with me, or am I totally off on this? I think noon and 1 p.m. are the worst shifts for day shift. Okay. 9 a.m. is a very good shift. 8 a.m. is a very good shift. So those would be my top 2 during the day. 10 p.m. still pretty good. 10 a.m. 10 a.m. for a morning shift is still pretty good. You can work like a 10 to 6:30 or a 10 to 8:30 for a 4-day 10-hour, and that's not bad. You can sleep in a little late, not too late, but you can sleep in, or you can wake up at your normal time. Just have time to relax in the morning before you go into work. You can take your time. I enjoyed working at 10 a.m. The drawback on a 10-hour is like you're getting home after work and you're still getting up at 8:30, so you have limited amount of time to do anything. After work, you have a limited amount of time to go to the grocery store, to run an errand. You really can't run an errand on a 10 a.m. to 8:30 shift. You're kind of stuck. Like I was able to maybe drop my dry cleaning off in the morning, then just head into work. Did that a few times, but 10 a.m. isn't bad. You're missing rush hour. That's what I did enjoy about the 10 a.m. shift. You're going into work all relaxed. But the 10 a.m. shift is not good for early morning riser people. If you're an early riser, a lot of my coworkers hated it. They're like, you're just waiting to come into work. It's just like noon to them. So they'd rather be at work at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. or 8 at the latest. Those people, they're early morning people. They have a set window. And tell me if I'm wrong about this, but they have a set window what they want to work. 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. You don't want to be too much earlier than that. You really don't want to come in at 5. They're not that early morning over riser. They want their sleep, but they want a strict window of when they want to work. 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. start time. That's just how early morning people are, realistically. They like that 2-hour window. But 10 a.m. is not a bad shift if you're a night owl. You get used to it. You get enough sleep. 11 a.m. I've worked before too. 11 a.m. in retail. It's common to be like coming at 11 after a store just opens up, or if you have a store that opens up at 11. Restaurants, lunch shift people, that's like the late shift, late lunch. You come in at 11 after the openers, and you just get your section, you get it ready, and you start taking customers. Your first customer usually by noon. So I've worked a lot of shifts at 11 a.m. It's good for night people because you get enough sleep. You can relax and go into work. But it's not a good shift. It's similar to noon in the sense that on a 10-hour, it's still your whole day. You're coming home at 9:30, getting off at 9:30. Your whole day is just work. If you have an 8-hour, you're going to at 7:30. It's not too bad. You can go out and do an errand after work. You're coming home after rush hour. So 11 a.m. is kind of a weird shift in the sense that it's okay if it's 8-hour, depending on what type of person you are. If you're a night owl, it's okay. If you are a late, if you're a type of person that likes to go to bed around 1 o'clock in the morning, you would like an 11 a.m. shift because you can sleep in. if it's an 8 hour. If it's a 10 hour, 4 day, it's weird because if you have 4 days are just taken up by work and you can't really do much else. So it's not a great time to start. Would you take it over noon? I would. I would take it over noon. Noon is way worse than 11. That 1 hour to me makes a good amount of difference. But I guess 11 a.m. shift is towards the negative side of a shift start time. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's not great. It's kind of like mediocre, but not really. In the afternoon, the further later you get in the day, the better it gets for a night shift. So, I mentioned noon and 1 are the worst. 2 p.m. is not good. It's just a little better than 1 p.m. People that work second shift, like 2 p.m. to 10:30, have a tendency to stay up late. A lot of them might play video games if they're younger and stay up all night long. I talked to a lot of people that stay up till 5 in the morning playing video games after work. Some people went to bed about 1:30. You're not going to get to bed before 1 on a 2 to 10:30 shift. You're going to need that time to relax after work and decompress. Same with a 3 to 11:30 or a 3 to 1:30 a.m. Those type of shifts. They're okay for running a quick errand. You can have lunch at 3. If you have a 3 o'clock start time, you can probably go out and eat lunch. You can head into work. You can sleep in. So as the afternoon gets better, or gets later, the shifts get better. That's what I'm trying to say. So 3 p.m. is better than 2 p.m. 4 p.m. is better than 3 p.m. You're just getting better work-life balance, so to speak, the later you get. As long as you're okay with missing dinner with the family. That's the primary con with these types of shifts. And then it gets really good around 6 o'clock, and you're working all night. So 5:30, 6, 6:30, those I think are sweet spots for a start time for night shift. And 7. After 7, it starts to get worse as the time goes on. So comment down below. Let me know what you think are the worst and best times. Please don't say any time is terrible. Yeah, I can agree with you. Who wants to really work, right? But comment below. What do you think are the best times, in your opinion? And what are the worst times to start a shift? So for me, in conclusion, worst times, noon and 1 p.m. Midnight, 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. Those are the top 5 worst times to start a work shift. So you have midnight to 2 a.m. for night shift, and you have noon and 1 p.m. for day shift. Top 5 best times to start a shift in the morning are going to be 9 a.m., 8 a.m., and I would say 7 a.m. for early morning people. For me, not so much, but I'll put 7 a.m. in there. So 9, 8, 7. And then for night, it's going to be, I'm going to go with 6 or 7 p.m. for night. So those are your top 5 best and worst times. And 10 a.m. is a runner-up at number 6 spot. I'll put 10 a.m. at number 6 for best. So comment below. What do you think is the best and worst time to start an 8 or 10 hour shift in your opinion? Thanks for watching, and like and subscribe.